Professor Malat. Welcome to week 6. This week we're focusing on the question, does technology make us happy? I know there were some of you in previous writing in your journals and whatnot, as you were starting to focus on happiness. Some of you mentioned uh, social media and the role it has in either your happiness, whether you're happy with it or not. So I'm including this as readings if you decide you want to go in that direction as for the rhetorical analysis, but again, it's also something that maybe you'll want to research further and read more about it. So we have a couple of readings related to that question. I have a whole host of links, as you can see in the reading, for skills and such, and I have a plethora of videos. I know it probably seems like a lot. You don't have to watch them all, but I do provide them there for you if you need a little bit more assistance and guidance as far as actually writing the essay, the things that you should do when you're writing a rhetorical analysis, and of course, things related to the introduction, thesis statement, identifying rhetorical choices, writing about rhetorical appeals, and then things like context and purpose in rhetorical appeals. So there's a variety of videos. I also have recorded a video on multimodality and visual literacy, uh, and I will have that linked in here as soon as I get all the editing and uploading done with YouTube. But so let me talk a little bit more about it. We are now in the rough draft phase. You've done a little bit of pre writing, you've gathered some ideas, you've been exposed to a whole bunch of stuff, and now it actually comes down to doing this project, right? We've been discussing how authors intentionally choose rhetorical strategies and appeals. Um, so now it's really getting down on your draft project, either an essay or a presentation, and that project will be reviewed by a peer, and the peer work will carry on into next week. Um, we'll talk a little bit more next week in week 7 about how to go about doing peer review in an online class. There are things that you can do with Canvas, excuse me, to help you to review your peers' projects, and we'll talk more about that next week. So let's look at the readings here. We have this multimodality module, which I address in a separate video. I'm not going to open that now. Likewise with visual literacy. Um, I provided this PowerPoint presentation quick start from Purdue OWL. It is a presentation itself. It's a slideshow that you can actually click through, but it has some good information if you choose to do a slide presentation for this project. A lot of tips and tricks of how you can make your presentation better, right? Preview for giving feedback for peer review. You can read through it just to get some ideas and prepare yourself for next week. And then we have the rhetorical analysis outline and writing tips. I actually talked about that in week 5, so that should be a review, as well as the simple rhetorical analysis outline. I will open that up quickly. This is more or less going off a 5-paragraph essay outline type. Make sure that you have an interesting title, not rhetorical analysis project. Come up with an interesting title. Your introduction should have a good hook to get your reader or your audience's interest. Introduce the primary text, including the title and the author, the summary of the text. You've already done some of that work, so that shouldn't be too hard. Make your claims. And have a strong transition sentence. I see here there is a star for your body paragraphs. So in each body paragraph, you need a topic sentence, obviously. You should cite specific examples from the text, an analysis of those examples, not just summarizing how does each example support your overall argument? What are other possible implications? And then either a closing or transitional sentence. so that your paragraphs flow logically and nicely. How do they relate to each other? The star here is there is no set number of paragraphs for your essay's body. You're going to have more than one because it is a 4 to 5 page paper. Um, Chances are you're going to have more than 3 body paragraphs too. It's as long as it needs to be. Make as many claims as you can fully support. The more thorough your essay, the more effective it will be. And then you have a conclusion. So, as I said before, this is really a very basic outline, but it provides you with some ideas of what you can do. And again, the other handout, I'm not in the right week. The other handout, the rhetorical analysis outline and writing tips, is again a much more informative document. So take the time to look through that and get some of those tips. There is also some content. So there's a piece here called Shitty First Drafts, and I'd like to present this in almost all of my classes when we are coming up against the first rough draft. It's a humorous read. It's not required, but I highly recommend it. And Lamont has a way with words. And as a very prolific and a very successful writer, she provides students with some consolation that yes, even people who get paid to write for a living often have shitty first drafts. So this is a good read if you need a little bit of motivation, a little confidence boost perhaps. But the main readings for this week are Sherry Turkle's "Stop Googling, Let's Talk." I think that was from, it's over 10 years old. And Maria Konnikova, How Facebook Makes Us Unhappy. These are two interesting perspectives. Uh, Turkle talks a lot about people using their phones and how it's affecting relationships. And Konnikova attempts to present some research. I have some qualms about some of the research that she's presented here, but that's my personal perspective. um, how Facebook makes us unhappy. So, and I think that's probably about 10 years old too. Very interesting. And of course, if you go into the Pursuing Happiness resources page and you look under the headings here, I don't have as many supplemental resources. But if you click on supplemental resources, it will open a document eventually, and you can take a little bit more of a look. I meant to import that in, and maybe I will do that. But you can look for Konnikova. You can visit her personal website, look at some related articles if you're interested. Likewise, with Sherry Turkle, there are some. She's done a TED Talk as well, which is very interesting to watch. Um, but there are also, yeah, Connected But Alone. That's the one I was thinking of, from 2012, which is interesting. I mean, she started out as a researcher of technology and was very pro technology, and she's kind of shifted her feelings based on research that she's done. So she's a very interesting person to read and to listen to. But there are also some additional resources. So you can find that listed at the bottom of the page on the Pursuing Happiness resources page. Okay, so for videos, I know it looks like a lot of stuff, right? But you could consider it, if you're supposed to be, for a 3 credit hour course, you're supposed to be in class approximately for 3 hours a week. So the video content here really doesn't even add up on most weeks to 3 hours. This one, we're getting close. We're about halfway there, if you were just going to watch videos. Of course, we have other things that you need to do, reading and writing and that kind of thing. So it isn't a lot, but it is a lot. So we will start out with this overview that you're watching right now, the multimodality and visual literacy video, which is not super long. Then I've provided you with some instructional videos. This is more important for those of you in my online class because we don't get together and chat about these ideas and you don't ask questions. So I provide you with some of these materials to help you. One is how to write an effective essay, focusing on the introduction. That one is 21 minutes long. And then the other is how to write a strong thesis statement. I think both of these are from Scribber. I'm not sure. I'm not going to click on them to open them up because it just takes more time. Then there are two other videos by a really great English teacher. This guy, I think, teaches AP English in high school or AP English language and something else. Um, and he has a really good video on how to write about logos, ethos, and pathos, as well as how to identify rhetorical choices. They're good in helping you kind of make better stylistic choices to make stronger writing. But if you're pressed for time, of course, you're not required to read them. And then lastly, we have three of the crash course videos. If those appeal to you, these are three that would be more applicable to doing the rhetorical analysis project. So it talks about context, remediation, purpose, and rhetorical appeals. And as you know, those are very brief snippets. They jam pack a lot of information in a short amount of time. So I like those crash course videos, the study hall with Arizona State University collaboration. So those are, again, not required if you are just totally stressing out over this rough draft, which I don't blame you. Then, you don't have to sit there and watch them. But they're there for you if you just feel like you're a little bit lost. So let us talk a little bit about the assignments this week. The main assignment, of course, is the rhetorical analysis project draft. Again, this is totally copied from the course syllabus. We're focusing on those 5 questions, so hopefully you're thinking about happiness and that the text that you've chosen to analyze is based on our theme of the course. Hopefully you've taken it from the materials that I provided for you, but you're welcome to go out and find your own sources and speak about those if you would like to. So, again, the purpose of this project is to analyze how and why a text is put together and what effects its rhetorical components might have on a particular audience. So you're demonstrating that you understand uh, audience, you understand context, you understand purpose, and how all of those play together, as well as how a creator uses language in a particular way to persuade a particular audience. Um, so if you're writing an essay, it will be 4 to 5 pages, which is usually 1,000 to 1,200 words. MLA format, again, the guidelines and the sample paper are provided down below. If you choose to do a presentation, it could be a slide deck on PowerPoint or Prezi or what have you. The goal there should be about 10 minutes long, and that turns out to be about 10 slides. I say here, if you want to present in class, please request a time slot. That is solely for my face-to-face students. But if you want to record yourself going and doing a presentation, have a video recording of you speaking through a presentation as if you were standing up in front of a group of people, you're more than welcome to do that. Again, the guideline is to try to keep it to 10 minutes. If you just present me with 10 slides, I'd like to see a little bit of writing go along with it besides just the slides. Things that, maybe a basic script or an outline of what you would say if you had to give a presentation. And then don't forget that there will be a written rationale. The written rationale should be about 1 page long, and which is about 250 words. The rationale here, this is where you kind of reflect on the choices that you made going into the project. You explore the project's purpose, the form, the medium or genre of the project that you've chosen to take, the audience of the project it's directed towards. Of course, I'm going to be your primary audience, but I want you to expand your thinking beyond just presenting to me, right? Or writing that's directed to me. Think about a wider audience. Who would you like to reach with your writing, with your presentation? Think about that. Um, think about your audience. And then, of course, the rhetorical choices that you have made in creating the project, right? If you have chosen to have a slide deck with a voiceover, um, what was your rhetorical choice there? What motivated you to choose that over writing out an essay? In effect, that rationale that you write should make an argument about your project's purpose and its effectiveness. So you're kind of rhetorically analyzing your own writing. Um, but in effect, you are also doing a metacognitive exercise where you're reflecting on your writing and how the project went for you. So again, we have the rubric down below. I'll be looking at your introduction, thesis, and conclusion. I'll be looking for evidence that you understand the basics of a rhetorical analysis, so awareness of rhetorical situation and rhetorical appeals. If you go beyond that and you really pull in a lot of things that you understand can persuade an audience, your chances of getting more than a B on the project really increase, right? If it's written well or it's presented really well and you've put in a lot of work, your chances of getting an A on the project are greatly increased. Of course, I will be looking at organization, making sure each paragraph examines one main idea or each slide presents one main idea and it contains appropriate reasoning for that idea. They're presented in a logical pattern and clear transitions. Things are written well or put together well. Of course, also looking at audience awareness, that you're writing with an audience in mind, that the audience is hopefully more than just me, right? And then lastly, I will take a look at language use and mechanics. So things like grammar, punctuation, spelling, formatting, MLA format, making sure that you have tried your best to edit and proofread. And again, I will then provide you feedback, any kind of corrections that might need to be made. I'll indicate with just a circle or a mark on your paper so that you can make those corrections yourself. Um, I am not your copy editor. I expect that you know how to write these things, but I know some of you might need a little bit more help or might need a refresher if it's been some time since you've had to write at the college level or at a higher level. So I get it. I am not harsh when it comes to that. I will just point it out. Hey, you need to correct some things, and then hopefully you learn from that and you implement those changes when you make your revisions. Okay, so that is the main assignment for this week. We do have one other assignment, and those are the reading questions. So I'll be asking you to take a look at Stop Googling Let's Talk by Sherry Turkle and answer a few questions as well as the Konnikova article. So I'm asking you things like, how does your use of Facebook or other social media make you feel and why? Are you a passive user or that kind of thing? And how satisfactory do you find social media? And compare your experiences to the findings of Konnikova back in 2014. So I think these are good questions to help you kind of think about the readings and give you an opportunity to voice your opinions. So, yeah, that's it for week 6. Good luck with your projects. I think most of you have provided some kind of pre-writing that I've looked over and said, you're on your way. So, good on that. And if you need any assistance, remember we have the Learning Commons, um, UC Learning Commons, and Academic Writing Center. Those are tutors that you can work with if you need additional help. Um, they're paid to do that. I'm not paid to tutor students. I'm just paid to teach and grade. I am a part-time teacher, so I'm split between several classes. I'm not a full-time employee, so I don't get paid to the level that I would need to be paid if I were to really go full out. So that's why we have these resources available for students who might need additional help. Learning Commons and Academic Writing Center. Right. Good luck. Have a great week. And I look forward to seeing your rough drafts. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.